Dude, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Just got done posting an interview with Preston Howell from The Voice, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, and just did some writing on Juneteenth, and which is going to lead me into the next research project I'm doing, which is on Red Summer. I don't know if you're familiar with Red Summer, but I have a feeling it's going to be a rabbit hole. So
Yeah, for sure. I like rabbit holes.
yeah, yeah. Are you familiar with Red Summer at all?
No, not at all.
Basically, after World War I, you know how like in Soviet Union, the Bolsheviks took power and became communist state. Woodrow Wilson basically made the comment that if African Americans become equal, then we will turn communist. And as a result of him
Oh,
saying that, there was all these lynchings and white people killing black people um, over because of that, because they didn't want equality. So like you had the Tulsa Race Massacre, you had other lynchings. There was like a lynching I learned about in a town about 3 hours from where I live in Omaha, Nebraska. A man by the name of Will Brown was lynched. He was surrounded by like thousands of people. They tried to run him out of town, and then they eventually lynched him. So
wow, that's wild. I'll have to. I'll go down that rabbit hole with you.
yeah, absolutely.
This our country is. The more I learn about it, the more complicated my feelings are.
oh,
uh,
oh, for sure, man. So like we'll start off the interview this way. Just to let you know, Manus Creation combines music. Naturally, we'll talk about your music, and we also talk about mental health, and we talk about activism. I'm an activist, and I'm also a school teacher. So
oh, cool.
yeah, I'm usually out there in the protests and signing petitions, making demands, and all that stuff. And um, so, anyways, where was I going with this question? Oh, I just had it. Sorry, it's been such an incredibly long day. So like based upon like the uprisings in America, based upon what you have seen, what have you experienced so far, like with the George Floyd protests or anything like that?
What have I experienced with the George? What was the question?
What have you experienced with like the George Floyd protests and like kind of what are some things that you've been thinking about in terms of like race relations in this country and all that?
I think that it is very obviously it's a conversation that's long overdue. Um, I think so many people are not they're not readily willing to have this conversation because they feel like they have nothing at stake um, in the conversation. And to me, it has me thinking a lot about empathy. Um, Growing up as a gay kid in the South, um, I had my own experiences as part of a minority that gets brushed aside and misunderstood quite a bit. And that was a very eye-opening and formative experience for me, and it puts me naturally in a position when conversations like this come up, I'm ready to listen because um, I just know for me, I've really had to fight hard to kind of carve out a place for myself in the world that felt um, livable and comfortable um, and healthy. And I really want that for everyone. And I think that the conversations we're having this year in past years, it seems like it's been something that as a collective unit, as a culture, as an American society, we've been brushing up against this topic, but we haven't fully gotten there, and we really need to keep having this conversation um, until the world is really a better place for all of us. And I think white people specifically need to really search what it is in themselves that makes them resistant to wanting to have this conversation. It's very important.
I 100% agree. Like, as a white person, like I'm not gonna pretend I understand everything that they go through, But as you said, like that's where my empathy and that's where my willingness to listen comes in, and just the more that I dive into this rabbit hole, the more I realize that that we have to do better. We have to be better. We have to be kind to one another, and I was reading some of your bio and stuff, and it sounds like you went through a lot, uh, realizing that you were gay, and um, so what was that experience like, and what was some of the things that you went through, like, you know, with that?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in the South. I had a wonderful family, wonderful parents, wonderful brothers, and um, but we were raised in we were very much part of a religious environment, and the doctrine of that culture and that church really was not not very friendly to gay people. And so I had a lot of doubts about myself throughout my upbringing, and that spilled over into my early adult life. So I spent basically all of my 20s really kind of coming to terms with myself. And I would say I really didn't begin that process until I was about 25. And for some people, when they come out and they accept that part of themselves and they're ready to kind of make that declaration to other people, this is who I am, and they're willing to live uh, authentically. Some people just snap into it, and it seems, at least outwardly, that it's easy for them. That was not my experience. I had a lot of residue from my upbringing and some things I had to unlearn. I am not a person who just kind of, I don't really take things lightly.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to really talk about rabbit holes. I really want to ask all of the questions and really kind of make sure that I firmly understand all the ins and outs of everything, especially when it comes to myself. And sometimes that can kind of get in the way, and things take a little longer for me than maybe someone who's just a little more chill, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was just a lot of searching and a lot of unlearning, and it was hard. But I'm thankful for it in a lot of ways. On the side of all of that, I feel like I have a pretty, I feel like my feet are planted firmly beneath me. But yeah, it definitely came at a big cost for me.
Oh, yeah, I can only imagine. Like, I imagine you probably faced some bullying, some discrimination, and all that stuff. And but look at you, you came out stronger because of it. And and kind of goes along with like mental health awareness. Like, what are some things that you do like to help when you struggle? What makes Matt happy?
What makes me happy?
Yeah.
Well, I just love my friends. I have some really wonderful friends, and some of them I'm related to. I'm really close with my family. I'm a big believer in connection. Being connected with other people is kind of how it's how I find joy, and it's also how I find the help that I need when I need it. Um, yeah, and obviously creativity is a big part of my life. Music for me has been a big vehicle for me to kind of process and explore a lot of my life. It's also kind of a way of putting it into something tangible, putting my inner life into something that I can see. And my songwriting and some of the other creative things I do, even gardening or tinkering with painting or this or that kind of like visual art, helps me to kind of weave it all together, if you will.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of your writing, let's talk about your music a little bit. And on June 5th, you released Nobody Cries Today, and it according to what your PR agent Susan sent me, it sounds like you went through some things to release that album. So, what were some of the trials that you went through?
Yeah, so I finished the album. For the most part, it was done at the end of 2016. We were in the winter of 2017, in January, we were in the final throes of getting it mixed and mastered, and kind of getting ready to um, start it on the start with the process of getting it released. Um, and as I'm sure Susan told you, I was shot in a carjacking on
Oh
it was
my
actually on
god!
Inauguration Day, January 20th of 17.
On
And
Inauguration Day?
yeah, it was Inauguration Day, which is wild. Um, but that was a great interruption to my life, and
Oh man!
um, my physical recovery only took a couple of months, but trauma set in about 6 months after the shooting, and that's when I decided to take a step back from music and from most of my life obligations for a while. I just had to kind of uh, start at square one and really get the help that I needed through therapy and some other means to kind of rebuild. I've really had to rebuild my life, and it's been a beautiful thing in a lot of ways. I'm really thankful for it. I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. I wouldn't want to go through it again, but I've definitely come out a lot more. I have a lot more serenity, a lot more simplicity in my life. More productive, and I feel like I have a much more sustainable lifestyle just because I've just found a new way of life, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome that you can go through what you went through and able to come out even stronger from it. Not everybody can do that, so that just shows that you're a really strong person for that. And I was gonna say, like, when you wrote "Nobody Cries Today," how do you approach the studio? It looks like you had Matt from Jars of Clay, to
Yeah.
help you produce it. How do you like when you step in the studio? What's your mindset, and how do you go about crafting the song? Like, what's the writing process?
Well, I started writing when I was a teenager and wrote all throughout my early and mid 20s, and had most of the songs for the record written when I met Matt Odemark. Um, this was my first really experience recording, so I was very intimidated going into it, but uh, I found that I absolutely love being in the studio. Matt Odemark was very gracious about kind of showing me the ropes, and I was very upfront with him about how green was to the whole process, and I learned almost within the first couple of days that it was that the studio was a place and a process that I loved, and yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. We did a lot of recording. We weren't in a hurry to get it done, and so we did it in a few different kind of waves of sessions. We recorded the first 6 songs uh, all within a couple of weeks, and then we revisited the studio about, what I say, 6 or 8 weeks later. But yeah, I just love recording so much, and we were able to. Most of the songs were actually all of them were tracked live with the band.
Oh, wow.
Most of them were tracked to tape, so it was very. As a kid who grew up around music in Nashville, that's something that I've always wanted to do. To kind of do it the old school way. So it was a very fun experience to get to do that.
Oh yeah, that is so awesome and all that. So how is the it's been out for a couple weeks. How has the response been to it so far?
Well, it actually just came out today. The record came
Oh,
out today.
oh, okay.
The the some of the singles have been out though. We've been trickling out singles ever since February, so that's probably what you see. And it's it's kind of confusing when you look online because each of the singles was almost released as an EP because they put the other singles that had previously been released in sort of a batch with each new single, if that makes sense. But the full-length record came out today, and it's been really exhilarating to share it. It's also, it feels very daunting, even emotionally, because I've had these songs with me for so long, and I think after carrying with them along with me in life for so long, it didn't realize. It's almost like I wasn't mentally prepared to for the reality that other people are going to hear this, which seems so obvious. That's like the whole point, right? But most of the process of creation is very private. It can be very lonely. It's a lot of preparation, a lot of really detailed work, and you really kind of labor over all of the details of writing and recording a song, and then you get your ducks in a row to get a release plan together and a team around a project. So I'm just so thankful to be here, and it's been beautiful to hear the sweet words of other people as they listen to it. And to me, it's really the beginning of a new era for me artistically, because up until this point, I've never had a record out. So here we are.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I know, like, with COVID-19 pandemic, it's kind of hard for an artist to promote their music. But how have you adjusted in terms of, like, with COVID-19, like your social media and stuff like that, in terms of promotion?
Yeah, so we had I'm working with a team and a publicist, like Susan, Susan, and we got our plans together long before, even rumors of coronavirus were surfacing. So it definitely was just like the whole world. I mean, we've all had to take our little detours as a result of 2020,
Oh,
of the
yeah.
pandemic, and of isolated life. We have moved forward with everything as planned. There was a time early on that I thought of delaying the release, but I decided to move forward with it because I've already had, so much delay due to the shooting, and I didn't want to wait any longer. So I'm thankful that we did that. I will say it does feel a little odd because I'm not doing shows or anything, so I'm not experiencing the kind of feedback loop that you get as an artist when you're able to play for a live room, feel people connecting with the music that you're putting out. But I know that time will come, and this groundwork will be there whenever that time returns, and I really look forward to it. But it's different. A lot of my friends are touring musicians, and they tour full time. That's not only their way of life, but it's their livelihood. So it's created quite a interruption to this whole industry.
Oh, it definitely has. And I'll tell you what, like, I'm looking forward to the day when concerts are going to return, because I am going to think that concerts are going to be the best thing ever when they return, because people have missed them so much. And like, music helps get me through and stuff like that. What are, like, just kind of before we talk about a single or two of yours, what is like a song or an album that you go to when you're feeling down, and or an album that you can listen to no matter how often you listen to it
Oh man,
and not get tired
so
of it?
many. Yeah, my favorite album that's been released in the last few years is Yola. Have you heard of Yola?
I haven't.
Oh, you look her up. She's fantastic. It's Yola,
Okay.
and she put out an album. You actually look it up. I think it was in 2019. I always get 2019. It's called Walk Through Fire, and she is fantastic. She calls herself the Queen of Country Soul, and she's just phenomenal. That's an album that I listen to it all the time. Almost every day I will put it on. It's just so good, and it's one of those albums that's really almost like a companion for me, which is always the music that I want to make. I want to make music that people live with, and that can accompany them through whatever they're doing or whatever they're going through. Another artist who's done that for me over the last few years is Father John Misty.
Okay.
I just love his album, Fear Fun, and I Love You Honey Bear. Both of those albums are just, they're definitely on repeat all the time for me. They're albums that I'll put away and then pick back up again. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say for me, like a song that's been resonating with me. It's from a hardcore band called Ghosts Inside, Aftermath. It's just a really powerful song. But anyways, check it out sometime, and I'll check out Yola as well. Let's talk about you worked with Leah Nash of Sixpence None the Richer, and just talk about collaboration with her, and what did you learn from her, with her being such a popular singer?
Yeah, Lee is a hero of mine, and Sixpence None the Richer. Their self-titled album that came out. Let me see, when was that? That would have been, I think it was 1998. Let me look this up because it's important.
Is it with the song "Kiss Me"?
Yeah, it has "Kiss Me" on it. It was 1997, and that whole album, "Kiss Me" is a wonderful song, and all of the deeper cuts from that album are, I know almost all of them by heart. So Lee Nash, her voice was very formative for me, not only as a young artist, but just as a young person. It just really kind of, there was something so magical and something so knowing about her voice and her artistry and the artistry of her band, Sixpence and the Richer. So getting to meet her, I actually met her the day that we recorded my song, The Gospel, that's on Nobody Cries Today. Matt Odemark reached out to her and sent her that song and asked her if she would sing on it, and she very graciously agreed to do that. She came into the studio, and I tried not to fangirl just because I had been just a lover of her from far for so long. But Lee is just a wonderful, wonderful person, and she is so warm and engaging. She's a lot of fun. She's one of the funniest people I've ever met. And in the months after that session, we wrote a handful of songs, and we had written Dime Adios, which is the duet of ours that's on the record, and we wrote that one together, and it made it onto my record, and it's I just love it so much. Lee's just amazing. There's no voice like hers. It's so unique and so special. She's a national treasure.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, like, her song "Kiss Me" has been covered by various artists, including like Newfound Glory, who kind of got them popular all over again by Newfound Glory covering it, and it's one of the best covers I've ever heard in my life. But they just do a punk rock cover of it, and it's just amazing. And you recently released a music video for Trouble, and take us into the song, and what is your favorite and least favorite thing about making music videos?
Well, I love making music videos, and I never would have known that about myself until last year. So I met my friend Jason Lee Denton and his wife Allie Shields Denton, they made all the videos for this record, and they also shot all of the photography for the album artwork and designed everything really for the album visually. But we recorded the video for 90 Proof last spring, actually. And that was last spring was kind of when I was unearthing the record again and trying to get a release plan together after taking a break post-shooting. And Jason and Allie came over to my house. We had planned to shoot the video at my home. I live in an apartment, a really old building here in Nashville. It's over 100 years old. And so we thought we'd film it here. And I do wedding flowers. So I had a bunch of flowers here from a wedding I had done the day before. And I was very nervous about doing a video just because I had never done it. And so it was intimidating to me. But I am really close with Jason and Allie. So it just felt like we were kind of playing in the sandbox. And I felt very much at ease and very in a creative flow and had a blast doing it. So after that, we put together a plan to make videos for Alligator, Lily, and Trouble. And I would say I don't have a least favorite part of the process because it's just loads of fun. I would make 1,000 more videos with them if I could. Collaborating with them is such a dream. They're very, very good at what they do. They're also, their way of life is just very, I don't know, they're just very alive. They're very, very interesting people. They're people that really, you talk about wormholes. Whatever they get fascinated with, they really explore it to the fullest extent. So it's very fun to be creative with them, and it's also fun to work with people that you know, that you feel a closeness with, because there's a lot of nonverbal communication that happens. The day of a video shoot is just always, it's always a little hectic because there's a lot that has to get done. But it's almost like the three of us on all three of our video shoots, it's almost like I feel like we're one brain for that day. We kind of just move quickly, and there's a lot of intuition that the three of us tap into, and we just run with it. But yeah, it's been a dream getting to work with them and getting to make the visual elements of the album. Was a really nice way for me to be able to resurrect this collection of songs. When I started to get the logistics in order to release the album, I was a little fearful that it would feel like old news to me, or like I was just minding the past. But getting to create something for these songs visually on the other side of all that time that passed after the shooting helped me to kind of bring it into the present day and to kind of reframe it a little. So yeah, it's something I'm really thankful for. Jason and Allie are wonderful. I'm already working on another album, but I always joke with them that, like, at this point, I feel like I'm just writing songs so I can get to make more videos with them.
Yeah, that could be a sole incentive right there, is just so you can make more videos with them. And so, like, what's the first thing you want to do when this pandemic is over?
Well, I definitely want to get some touring. I really want to tour. I love playing live. I mean, in all the years that preceded my time in the studio, I did a lot of playing out. I played everything from songwriter round to, full sets, either with just me and my guitar or a full band. Sometimes I would play 3 or 4 nights in a week, and I love connecting with people face to face, even if it's just a handful of people. There's nothing like that feeling to me, and it's what has kept me going as an artist for so many years. Is that feeling of connection that you feel. It's so organic, and it feels so human. And I think music more and more is something that, it's a crowded space. There's a lot of music constantly coming out. So as an artist, I feel like it's important to find those kind of sacred zones where it still feels human. It still feels organic and alive to you. For me, that space is when I'm, in front of people and I'm playing for them and bantering between songs and being silly or being vulnerable, just kind of giving them what I have. And so I can't wait to return to that. I don't know when that will be, but I'm hoping it's not too long. And now I'll have an album. So that'll be different, because in the past when I've done sets, I've always just had to say, well, I have this album, I don't know when it'll be out, but here's a song from it, you know.
Yeah, for sure, man. And yeah, I was gonna say, like, if around Iowa or Minnesota, I'd love to come out and check out a concert of yours. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, what else would you like to add that we haven't covered? I know we covered a lot, so like where people can find you or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, my album's everywhere. It came out today on all the things, all the streaming services. You can buy it on my website as well. It's available on CD. The vinyl will be released this fall. Um, we're going to do a vinyl release. I don't have a date yet, but maybe, I don't know when you're releasing this interview, but maybe by the time you do, we'll have a date. We're kind of finalizing that literally right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm so excited for people to hear it. It's just a really, I can't believe it's here. It feels surreal.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say, through it all, yeah, you did it. So, and hopefully you'll get to celebrate the release date tonight in some way, shape, or form. So, Matt, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to interview with me for Madness Creation. This was a lot of fun, so thank you.
Thank you, Maddie, so much, and have a great night. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate your time too, and have a good night.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.